What are the biggest what ifs in boxing? I saw that Top Rank posted this on their Instagram a few weeks ago, and I've been wanting to make this video, look at some of the comments, and see what are the biggest what ifs in boxing history that these people were able to come up with and give my thoughts on them. And of course, for this video, I want to hear what you guys think about all this also. So feel free to leave your answers to all these boxing what ifs in the comments below. But the first boxing what if that we're going to talk about is probably the most popular one of modern day that you can hear from people always asking is, what if Canelo and Floyd Mayweather fought at peak performance? See, this is a very tough what if because Canelo, I think peak Canelo is higher in weight, probably around like 168. I think that's peak Canelo because of the power and just he turns into this Terminator where he just comes forward, he wings these big ass heavy shots that makes his opponents super hesitant. So I think Canelo peaks a little bit heavier, whereas Floyd Mayweather, his peak is going to be a little bit lower in weight. So this is a big, tough what if to pick from. But if we were to go skill from skill, I would probably pick Floyd Mayweather just purely based on the fact that he's faced power punchers. He's faced ferocious type fighters, and he always comes out on top. I think his boxing skill is just too good. Someone like Floyd Mayweather will need someone like Terrence Crawford is the type of fighter that could have caused Floyd Mayweather a lot of problems. A very good switch hitter, someone who not only carries a lot of power in his hands, but can also box and box very well from both stances. I think someone like that is more of a bigger what if that could cause someone like Floyd Mayweather a lot of problems. But you know, Canelo, I just think Canelo is a little bit too one-dimensional. I think Floyd Mayweather would have been able to read him from a mile away, and I think Canelo would have had a really tough time hitting Floyd. So I think, you know, in the history books, I think it's right. I think Floyd Mayweather over Canelo, but like I said, Canelo carries a lot of power in his hands, especially at that higher weight. So, you know, one shot, we've seen Floyd get wobbled, especially against Sugar Shane Mosley, where we saw Floyd Mayweather's leg go a little bit weak from a big shot. Canelo has, of course, has that puncher's chance to hurt Floyd and maybe get him up out of there if he does hurt him. But still, I just think the boxing technique, the fight IQ, the sweet science, hit and not get hit, is too big on Floyd Mayweather. He's the best to ever do it. Either him or, you know, Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker. But I think Floyd is the best to ever do the sweet science, the best we've ever seen. So I think I'm going with Floyd Mayweather for this one. Here is an interesting one. Someone says, what if scorecards were posted after each round so the fighters and the audience knew the score? Now, this is a very interesting one because if the fighters knew the scorecards, they would fight very differently. As we saw Terrence Crawford in his fight against Showtime's Sean Porter, you've seen in between rounds, I don't remember in between which rounds it was, but you've seen in between rounds that they tell him, you're down. And he's like, what? I'm down? No, I'm up. And they're telling him, no, you're down. And he says, okay. And he goes out there and freaking finishes Sean Porter. So, you know, this is a big deal, man. Something like this can completely change the outcome of the fight, because imagine if they never told Terrence Crawford. He was losing that fight on the scorecards. He really was. So imagine if they never told Terrence Crawford and he just went on fighting how he was fighting, and then he'd go on losing a decision that he thought he was winning. So this is actually a pretty big what if, and I think it would change a lot of outcomes of a lot of fights. And to be honest, I think it would keep the judges on their P's and Q's if they're knowing that, oh shit, people are going to be seeing these scorecards live. If Dimitri Bivol dominated Canelo in this round, I probably shouldn't give Canelo this round because, you know, people are going to be seeing my scorecards live. Because as we all know, Canelo won probably 2, maybe 3 rounds at most in that fight against Dimitri Bivol, and it still somehow was super close for some reason. Someone just said, what if Oscar De La Hoya never wore fishnets?
The cokehead, Oscar De La Weirdo.
Oh, here's another one. Like I mentioned before, someone says, what if Mosley stopped Mayweather? As you listened to before, I did mention Sugar Shane Mosley. He hurt and wobbled Floyd Mayweather, was one of the very few to do so. And, you know, now this guy, what if Mosley stopped Mayweather? Now, this is a very interesting one because I think, in this type of era of boxing, there's a lot of rematches. Even, Floyd Mayweather, if there was a close fight or a controversial fight, Floyd would just rematch that fighter and beat him more dominantly. So I think if Mosley stopped Mayweather, he'd be a great fighter, still considered a great fighter, but I don't think people would be debating as hard for him as the greatest of all time. He arguably has a big debate to be considered the greatest boxer of all time. I agree. I do think he's the greatest boxer of all time, but I don't think he's the greatest boxing fighter of all time. I think those are two completely different things, but that's another video for another day. But I think he would have, of course, much less of an argument because of the loss. Most of his argument is due to him being unbeaten. And to be honest, I think they would have just rematched, and I think Floyd would have beat him the second time anyways. But you never know because people deal with losses differently. We're never going to know how Floyd Mayweather really would have looked coming off of a loss because he's never had to deal with it. And the only time he did lose was in the amateurs, and we've seen what he was able to do with his pro career after that. So, still, we don't really know how Floyd would have reacted and came back from a big loss should he have lost to Sugar Shane Mosley. But I do think they would have rematched, and Floyd Mayweather probably would have handled him much easier, just like he did in all of his other rematches throughout his career. Man, this is a big one. Those of you who aren't familiar with boxing history, this is a really, really big one. What if Meldrick Taylor would have got on his bike and finished the round against Chavez? If you don't know, Julio Cesar Chavez, considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest Mexican boxers in history. And, the biggest fight at the time was him against Meldrick Taylor. And Chavez was clearly losing the fight, going to lose the fight on the scorecards. He ends up knocking Taylor out with just 2 seconds left. The referee stopped it with 2 seconds left. Chavez would have lost that fight had Meldrick Taylor would have been able to even just stand up after being knocked down. If he just stood up and the ref didn't call it off, he would have won the fight. So this was very, very controversial at the time. A huge deal. This blew Chavez up, in my opinion. This fight is what made Julio Cesar Chavez the legend he is today, because this is his biggest moment of his career, in my opinion. But if Meldrick Taylor gets up and beats Chavez, I think they do the rematch, and I think Chavez knocks him out. But a crazy ending to a crazy fight. Of course, this is another big one. People wondering, what if Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fought earlier in their careers? And, well, I think the answer is there. And that's not in the fight. I think the answer is there right in front of our face. There's a reason why Floyd Mayweather avoided Manny Pacquiao for so long. There's a reason why Floyd Mayweather decided to go in and out of retirement when Manny Pacquiao was coming up and terrorizing everybody in all weight divisions. I think Manny Pacquiao takes Floyd Mayweather out. And, it isn't biased or anything like that. I just think that the truth is in the pudding. If Floyd Mayweather wanted that fight, he could have easily got the fight. It was a big money fight too. So money isn't an issue. Floyd Mayweather was saying Manny Pacquiao didn't want to take a drug test, but from Manny's side, I'm pretty sure they were saying that they are gonna take the drug test. So, I remember there was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of back and forth. He said, she said, they're saying one thing, they're saying another. And to be honest, it all boiled down to Floyd Mayweather probably just doesn't want the fight. And let's be real, Floyd Mayweather is very, very smart. He took Canelo when Canelo was still young, and he fought Manny when Manny got old. So Floyd Mayweather was very, very smart to do this. He knew it gave him the biggest and best chances to win. So for that reason, I think if they were in their primes, I'm going with Manny Pacquiao. But this is actually a really big what if and a really big debate that's going to go on for years and years and years to come. So of course, I'm interested to see what you guys think about this one also. And the last one I am going to talk about is what if the ref would have counted Buster Douglas out instead of giving him a 12-second count when he knocked out boxing legend Mike Tyson in probably one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. He's got a point. If we look back at it, Buster Douglas, he did get I believe it was close to 12 seconds or around there. I just know I don't remember clearly. Of course, I'll put it on screen to show you guys, but I don't remember exactly how it went, but I just remember that Buster Douglas did get a very, very, very slow count. And if he did get the right count, he wouldn't have beat it and he would have lost the fight. But regardless, if it would have played out that way, if the ref would have waved off the fight, Mike Tyson wins another fight by KO, I think it eventually still happens to Mike. If not the next fight, sometime in the near future. It's going to happen to Mike because he was just on his way down in his career. Things weren't looking good in his personal life, and it translated over to his fights. He wasn't fighting the same. He didn't have the same head movement. He didn't have the same footwork. He was looking slower and slower each and every fight. He was getting caught with punches he wouldn't normally get caught with, and he didn't look the same at all. So I think if he knocks out Buster Douglas, someone else, if not the next fight, then somewhere soon, knocks Mike Tyson out and takes that glory. But it all panned out very well for Buster Douglas because, the story behind it. I think he lost like his mother or something like that fairly recently. He came into this fight hungry, dedicating his fight to her, and he, shocked the world. So, I'm happy for Buster Douglas that he's the one that got the spotlight and got this moment. But like I said, if it didn't happen that fight, I believe it was going to happen sometime soon with just how Mike Tyson was looking. All right, that's going to be it for this video. Of course, again, let me know in the comments what you think about all these. I'm curious to see what your opinions are about all this. And feel free to debate, man. I don't care if y'all agree or disagree with me. Feel free to debate in the comments below. I love seeing everyone's different viewpoints on this. This is all just our opinions. These are a lot of what ifs. So who knows what would have actually happened. But as always, thank you all so much for the support, and I'll catch you in the next video.